You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm a werewolf wearing Zach's skin who happened to get some new trousers recently.
I was gonna comment, you look like you've got a really cool new look this week.
The thing
werewolf
is,
Zach.
as the bad boy of X-Men podcasting,
Yeah.
it is, you gotta look the part sometimes, and sometimes the thing is that being a bad boy is not a timeless thing. You have to continue to be bad to the bone every single year as new trends come up, and you have to buck those trends and be like, I'm not a conformist. I'm
No.
sitting here in my The Dude sweater and my deep V's that I'm still wearing like it's 2011.
Well, I've never thought of you as a 10-gallon hat guy, but I think it works. This is an interesting look for
The
you.
10-gallon hat. Here's what people don't tell you about 10-gallon hats. They're pricier than you
They
think.
are. Those gallons cost.
A nice 10-gallon hat, that's going to run you a couple hundred, buddy.
Yeah.
Like a Stetson? A Stetson, your entry-level Stetson is $150. You're really looking at like the $380, $500 range. But if you want a Shasta 10X cowboy hat,
Oof.
with a 4.5-inch brim, or I'm sorry, 4.25-inch brim, that's $600.
That's incredible. I just think you're pulling it off, which, it's not easy to pull off a new look.
Well, the thing is, if you want the El Presidente 100X Premier cowboy hat, which comes in both silver belly and black,
Oh boy.
that's going to run you $1,400.
No. That's out of the price range, I think. We've gone too far.
But Bud, it's a classic Western style in one timeless package.
I just feel like what you're doing with it is kind of transcending what its original context was.
Yeah, that's because it's prized for its durability and luxurious feel.
Well, this
Did
week,
you know, just one more thing about the hats, and we have the hat,
Yeah.
we have to get that. Did you know that the El Presidente from Stetson,
Sure.
it is touched by more than 100 sets of hands during production, resulting in a hat that is designed and built to stand the test of time.
I have questions about that, but I don't necessarily want the answers to it.
I can send you, the Stetson standard stretches back to 1865.
Is this going to be like the Matsuda-sode where you just read me a website?
But a little bit, I mean, we're going to stop eventually, but yeah, a little bit. I was just reading descriptions on the Stetson website.
Well, I appreciate the new look because it is very much in theme with the idea for the show this week, which is times that the X-Men suddenly got new costumes for reasons?
Yeah,
Mark?
but this is a You Pick 'em this week. Our patrons on patreon.com, which you can, if you want to jump in and get on this You Pick 'ems that we're doing.
Yeah.
Go over to patreon.com/Battle of the Atom, reach deep down into your hearts and pocketbooks and toss a couple of coins into our coffers at the $5 US a month. You get an entire episode based around one of your thoughts, feelings, suggestions, ideas, concepts. It also allows you to join into our You Pick'ems. And that's important because, Adam, here's the thing.
Yeah.
This is the dirty secret.
Okay.
This hat, but it set me back. That's 280 patrons. And that's before splitting. I'm going to be the El Presidente 100X Premier Cowboy hat in silver belly, which I got, obviously.
Of course.
That's going to, it's just, I'm in a bind here.
Sure.
It's so much money on hats.
Well, we did just hit, congratulations. We did just hit 1 million streams. So
We hit,
we
we
need
hit
to
1 million
we need to
streams.
get more people, widen the thing so you can
All
widen your hat collection.
All I'm gonna say is if you chucked in $1 per stream, me and Adam wouldn't have to do this podcast anymore. We could be released from our burden.
Well, I mean, we could, but then I could just, not go to work, for at least a couple of years.
Or we could, what if this became, hold on.
Yeah.
In the past, when some of us make better choices with our hat dollars, and other people like our listeners are going at $1 a stream level.
Oh, yeah.
We could make this a daily show and then eventually get through our burden. This could just be our job. Imagine that, Adam. Imagine daily Boda. If we can get to a Stetson hat a month, maybe we talk about. I'm kidding.
Wow.
A Stetson hat a month
we could get a lot closer.
Lot
closer to getting to all the X-Men stories. But as it is, we have 3 this week. I do love this theme because it gives us an excuse to talk about some really weird stuff.
Yeah, because these are, quote, gratuitous new costumes where the team gets a new fit because ... That was explicitly what the You Pick'em said.
And I think we nailed the theme.
We nailed it. We did so good.
In 3 very different ways, I feel like. So we're going to start
incredible ways
with a book that is one of the weirdest things. Good God. Zach, had you read Astonishing X-Men Xenogenesis before?
Oh, bud, I've read Astonishing X-Men Xenogenesis before. That's written by Warren Ellis with art by Carrie Andrews. Standard Warren Ellis disclaimer up top.
Yeah, sex pest, awful person. And this time for this story, we're going to find new reasons that he's awful. But this came out in 2010, around the time that he was writing the regular Astonishing ongoing.
Yeah, this is actually the end. Like, this is the last thing with Astonishing that he does.
Yeah, it's weird that it's a standalone mini, right? This is a 5-issue arc, but it's not an arc; it's a mini.
You know what? I wonder how much of that had to do with scheduling. Like, I really don't know.
I'm not sure either, but just so everybody's on the same page, we have a lineup here of Armor, Beast, Cyclops, Storm, Emma Frost, and Wolverine. I don't even know where to begin with this comic book, Zach.
Well, we should probably begin at the beginning. It opens up with someone running around, exploding, and then Carrie Andrews drawing children poorly. And I'm going to be honest. So are you a Carrie Andrews guy?
Carrie Andrews is, in some cases, extremely talented. He makes choices that confuse me and confound me.
We're going to talk about
a lot of
explicit choices in this.
Yeah. And I want to get into what those are as we go through this. What you're describing is one of those choices, which is deeply confusing in this, which is sometimes he draws adults that look like children, and sometimes he draws children or teenagers that I can't tell how old they are, no matter who they are.
Babies that look like 80-year-old men, which is not that uncommon, but they have the proportions of an 80-year-old man, just shorter, which is weird.
Adults that look like small children,
children and plot relevantly being children who look like middle-aged men.
Yeah.
Like, it's
odd.
The art choices, not just, we'll get into the stylistic choices that we may or may not work with. The art choices in this are so bonkers. It's can't draw babies, which is weird because this is a story explicitly about babies.
Yes. So there
baby-based story.
There is an African town, city, however you want to talk about it, within the nation of Mbangawi called Carrere. And inside of this town, there is an influx of new babies. And these new babies all appear to be mutants, which is weird because mutants don't usually get their powers until, puberty. So what is going on here? The X-Men are being asked to take a look. Well, are they being asked to?
Black Panther's asking them to, and Black Panther's wife is on the X-Men, so
yes, but
that's what's happening.
They're gonna go check it out, and
now, that does lead to a very interesting spot where Cyclops says, "What are the odds of one African town having mutant births?" And Beast being the most annoying guy on Twitter you've ever met, saying 2 points. 1, Africa is not a country. 2, something more relevant to the plot. And here's the thing. And I'm going to get into this because it's so relevant to how the story is framed and also plays into the themes later. Warren Ellis is taking a position here that is very much the, hey, I know, like, the reality of it. Because Cyclops then on the next page looks at Storm, because he's asking Storm, who lived in Africa for a very long time and currently is a queen in Africa, to be like, hey, Storm, can you culturally take the lead on this one? Yes, it's a different village, but frankly, you're way closer to this than we are. He has to pull Storm aside and say, Storm, I know Africa is not just one giant. I know it's a continent and it's a lot of diverse people. Obviously, I know that. So it's coming from a place of woke.
Is it though?
No, listen to me. Hear me out here.
Okay.
And I know I used a very loaded word there, but it is coming from the place of the guy who knows more than you. Is like, no, I understand this. And Warren Ellis is playing this. And at the same time, he is doing something buck wild with Wolverine, talking about how horrible all the leadership in Africa is, and truly being like, yeah, look, they have child soldiers. They have all this stuff. This is a terrible, horrible place, and no one should live here, which is, I get characters are refuting him and talking about, but it's also just a wildly racist thing to put into Wolverine's mouth.
Yeah, there is at least a full page of Wolverine just being straight up deeply racist towards the entire continent of Africa, which coming from a white British dude is a choice. So
Yeah,
when
I
you
mean,
say,
look, it's just
when you say that, like, there are these nods to, like, I get it, in the first couple pages, and then you double down upon it by not only having Wolverine go on this racist diatribe, but then when you get to the African village or town and have very, first of all, the agency of the people in this town is non-existent.
They
and
are
the
they are
only actual African character is a stereotype of, like, an African warlord, like, with child soldiers, who's like a half cyborg.
You're talking about Joshua Nindingi, Dr. Crocodile from Captain Britain.
Yes, Joshua is it Ndingi? Yes, Ndingi.
Bud, I just not my bailiwick.
No, that's okay. It's just choices are being made here and they're bad.
They are. Well, that's what we're on the same page. I think we're coming from a different way. I think Ellis thinks that he's smarter than he is when writing this.
Yes.
And before any allegations, that was a criticism that you could throw at Ellis and no one would refute.
Yeah. Now
what's also I want to stop on one other point before we continue here, because it has to do with Wolverine's racist speech, and I think this is what makes it so wild.
Yeah.
Is this while this is being done, Emma Frost comes in and she is like doing the point counterpoint with him.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie Andrews.
Yes.
Draws Emma with the most heaving breasts that anyone ever has, shoving them in your face as a character, and literally at one point plopping them over the seats on the Blackbird, as if to be more comfortable, while lecturing Wolverine on some of this stuff. And buddy, the script is in the first issue, so I know that wasn't in the script. Carrie, how in the world is that the choice that you make artistically to convey the message that the words are trying to get across? It is both like, I don't know if this scene really works. I kind of see what you're trying to do, but it feels weird to, this is the most bonkers way to do it.
It is wild. So this is a good opportunity.
It's like if there was a Game of Thrones version in the set in the Civil War where they were doing sexposition, where they were explaining why slavery is bad and abolition is good.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not wrong, am I?
Well, here's a good opportunity to talk about why we chose this for this episode. And that is that for this trip, they have decided to have a new look. Most of the team is dressed in like yellow ball caps with the X on the front, kind of black sleeve shirts and yellow, I guess, what do you think? Like cargo pants?
They're cargo pants. Look,
Yeah.
they are okay. I kind of dig. I do kind of dig that look. Like that is not a the team should wear this all the time, but for the context of there being doctors without borders here, they're Mutanis Sans Frontières.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that works pretty decently.
I don't hate the look. I think it's
Like the ball cap with the matching t-shirt specifically. I'm like, that's a good
Yeah.
casual X-Men vibe.
it looks great. You could wear it to the X-Men softball game. You'd be fine.
With the exception of Emma, who says, well, Wolverine, if you slept with Cyclops, you could wear whatever you want to. And Emma wears something where, look, you know how Marvel Rivals has people talking about thick thigh Emma? Thick skirt that is above the crease of her thighs.
Mm-hmm. Giant platform shoes, a complete bodysuit, big cutout, for her cleavage. And essentially
insane.
what Carrie Andrews has done here is turn her into like Jessica Rabbit. I think is the closest that I can think of. He is taking a very curvy animation style and applying it to just that character. She looks like she is made of jelly. Like just she's just a slippery eel of a character when everyone around her is either, like an extremely tall Storm with a long ponytail that's like 20 feet long behind her. So we're getting that exaggeration, but the Emma, especially with like her boobs kind of bouncing around and bouncing onto seats and her butt hanging out, you're just like, Carrie, this is too much. Like, how editorial did not take a look at this and go, oh boy, I don't know if this is going to fly. This should never have gotten to the page the way it is.
The cover of the second issue does have a baby puking on Emma's cleavage.
Yes.
Which is like, that gives me weird vibes.
The third issue has what I think of as probably the best image of the application of this image, which is Emma sitting on Scott, who is kind of like on all fours. So he's kind of her chair. Yep. And she is eating a plate of pancakes with a bite coming near her mouth and her tongue hanging out. And honestly, I don't really have any problem with the image per se, except for how Emma is drawn and represented. I think that the idea of her sitting on Scott is fine. I don't really know why she's eating pancakes or what that has to do with the story, but the version of Emma Frost that's here is just not Emma Frost. She's too short. She's too like Betty Boop. It's just not the character that we know.
She has no characterization except for sex pot. Yeah. And that's not what's interesting about Emma. Emma is interesting because she is a fully sexual woman, as well as having all of these other facets to her. Like, Emma is incredibly poorly written. And here's the thing. I feel like if she was even like 20% better written in this comic, people would be posting that cover and being like, "Yas, Queen, slay." It is.
There's nothing there to make up for what Carrie is doing visually with the character,
because it doesn't fit. And here's the thing: like, I think Andrews is a talented artist, like can be a talented artist. Yeah. But Joe Quesada has a newsletter that he's been talking about, like the craft of how comics work. Mm-hmm. And in like on Sunday, he sent out one that was about pacing and how you use panel layouts and panel sizes to dictate, this is the important stuff. This is what you pay attention to. Like, use that, because you can't control the timing in a comic per se, but you can control where the reader focuses. And I think Andrews does a really, really poor job of that throughout
Oh,
this
yeah.
entire thing. And it's one of the downsides of widescreen comics, which
Mhm.
this is obviously falling into. But there is so much that is as big as it can be. And when everything is loud, nothing is. You need those contrasts. You need that level of subtlety. And Ellis's writing doesn't have it, and Andrew's art sure doesn't have it.
No, and to make things even crazier, Zach, this is a sequel to the Jasper's Warp.
Okay, now we got to get into that part of it. So they finally get to the village halfway through issue 2. Emma's doing truly insane things like kissing everyone so that they can speak the language, which isn't...
Not how her powers work.
I mean, look, end of the day,
I don't think she wants to go around kissing everybody anyway.
that's not her vibe. That's a
Just not
rogue
Emma.
thing. That's rogue. You're
Yes.
thinking of a different character here, guys. They do this. They figure out, actually, I'm pretty sure these aren't mutants. These are warpies.
Yes.
Dr. Crocodile then shows up from a couple of issues of Captain Britain.
Dr. Crocodile would love to kill all the babies because he knows that some of them might just literally be ticking time bombs and might be killing the whole entire village.
And
The
Dr.
X-Men...
Crocodile is being... I think Dr. Crocodile is actually the most interesting character in this book because he has multiple dimensions to him. He is a character that legitimately, as the elected leader of this nation, cares about his people and cares about it. Like, he is both written as a foil for the stereotypical guerrilla soldier leader man that you would have, like the typical African warlord, but then also the most pragmatic person in the world, so that by the end of it, you get the taste of, actually, that was all a front, and this guy really is just evil, and he's everything you thought he was. It's in a better story, I think there's something there.
In a better story, this character could be a little bit more nuanced. I don't know that he really has that much going on.
Why is this story not him and Storm having, like, being contrasting sides of how to govern?
Well, here's a great a great example of why the story still comes off as quite racist to me.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just adding flavor to it.
Is that despite Wolverine's little diatribe on the plane and the characterization of Dr. Crocodile, you have this thing at the beginning where it's like, oh, Storm, you're going to take the lead when we get there, right? So we see Storm, at least in passing, talking to a local villager, right? Somebody who lives there. We never hear from anybody that lives there. The only real people from that town that we get to focus on are these babies who don't do anything. They just lay there.
They're
right?
warpies. They're little baby warpies. That's
and
what they are.
Storm is not in charge of this mission still. So
she's not doing anything here. It's so weird.
Yeah. So, anyway, so it turns out that there is a multi-dimensional version of Jim Jaspers in this area whose radiation from jumping the timelines has created the warpies. He's created a new Jasper's warp.
Yeah, he's doing small localized Jasper's warps.
Yes. Trying to escape the Furies?
Yes. We'll get to that. Hey, just when you see Carrie Andrews, Jim Jaspers.
Doesn't look like Jim Jaspers. Also doesn't look like a young person, which they keep describing him as a teen.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is super plot relevant that he is a child. Like, he is not a fully developed adult. It is so relevant to the plot that that's the case. He looks like a 50-year-old man.
Yeah. And he doesn't look like Jim Jaspers.
He's got the gap in his teeth, but like,
that's about it.
Again, there's something there of a story of British aristocrat Jim Jaspers, like the signal of right-wing Britain, coming to an African village, just bumbling in there, screwing everything up for everybody. Again, there is the seed of story there. Like, there's a pitch there that's like, okay, you've got some interesting flavors that you're throwing into this pot. Let's see how it all comes together. And it doesn't come together even a little bit.
No,
which
it doesn't.
kind of makes this really frustrating to me because I can see I can see how this could be an interesting and good story, and then it's really told poorly and not done well. And then they bring in the Furies, which are, the Fury, it kills superheroes.
Yep.
Which they do say in here. Oh yeah, those Fury, they kill superhumans. I'm like, yes. Thank you for understanding, Warren Ellis. That is all they do. And I hate that because there's like an army of the Fury. But guess what? It's not intimidating even a little bit. They're basic foot soldiers that die immediately.
They do pack a punch, but at the same time, they're not allowed to do anything savage like they do in the Jasper's warp. So
if you
the closest they come is trying to
Fury.
They're trying, the closest they come to something absolutely terrible is like they try and chop Wolverine's head off and can't. So, there's that shot where, the Fury has a giant sword arm and it's in Wolverine's neck and he's like, it's not going to be that easy, bub. And you're like, okay, they're packing some muscle, but the resolution of this story still comes down to tricking the Furies into thinking that Jaspers has left and then just letting Dr. Crocodile shoot Jaspers.
So that's the thing. They trick the Furies, which, by the way, this whole Furies thing, Warren Ellis tries to be like, well, actually, this is a ghost box involved. You remember ghost box
right,
from
ghost
my art.
Box.
Ghost box. And I'm like, no one cares, man.
No.
But
they don't.
They trick the Furies to leave and say, well, Jaspers isn't here anymore because the Furies are trying to kill Jim Jaspers. Why are the Furies trying to kill Jim Jaspers, out of curiosity? Do you know why?
I don't know that was made explicitly clear.
Because Jim Jaspers generally friend to the Fury. It kills superheroes.
Right.
Is not in this case. He's in a hospital and Dr. Crocodile is talking to the X-Men and is like, okay, well, what do we do after this? How do we handle this? And they keep talking and him and Storm come to like a mutual respect. Like that one aspect that, again, if any of this was set up as them as contrasts earlier in the comic, could make for a better scene. Because they go in and they shake hands like, look, we are both leaders of African nations. We need to, even if we don't have to like each other, we need to be diplomatic with one another. This is great. He walks into the room, sees, again, 57-year-old teenage Jim Jaspers, and shoots him in the head.
Yeah. Thereby, reinforcing all of the terrible things that Wolverine was trying to say on the plane. And you're like, oh, okay.
And
great.
The end of this, it's 2 panels, and Dr. Crocodile is giving this big speech. And he's saying, no one will care. It's not Chernobyl. It's not an oil spill or a hurricane. It's just a village in Africa. Everyone wants to save the world, you see, but nobody really cares about Mumbagwe. No one but me. Goodbye, Wind Rider. And again, it's a comic that's like, yeah, no one cares about this place. But you spent the whole comic talking about how much this place sucks and why no one should care about it, Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
And I am giving the benefit of the doubt that Warren Ellis went into this with good intentions and saying, I'm going to show them, like these people, no one cares about this place. But also that's great as a first step. You got to do the work to actually you can't just do all the things and say it was satire. That's middle school. That's not how any of this works. And that's not a good story. And at the end of the day, that's the problem with this. Like, there's a lot of problems. The big overarching problem for our purposes is this is just a really badly told story, and it uses a lot of baggage. And when you use baggage like that and tell a bad story, it makes it worse. It's the Chuck Austin problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really rough, and it's rough to look at in a lot of places. And I was intrigued at certain parts. I was like, what exactly is this team trying to do?
Warren Ellis and Carrie Andrews, like, those are people that can make comic books.
I wanted to have an idea of what it was, but the ultimate product is very poor. And thinking about that, I think we should try and rank it on our big old list.
Well, that's the thing, Adam, and this is what the people crave when they come to this podcast. They don't care about us ranking the fits of the Xenogenesis team. They care about the big old list. That's a list where we've ranked every X-Men story from best to worst. We've ranked 1,140 X-Men stories. The best is the House of X Powers of 10. 275 on the list is Immortal X-Men 1 to 4. 550 is Generation Hope Schism. 825 is X-Men Blind Science. 1011 is Wolverine Special 102.5, The Verve. Do you remember what Wolverine Special 102.5 is? No, it doesn't matter. I don't remember what it is. The worst comic of this list is 2099 Word of Tomorrow at 1140.
Okay, so
where's Ghostbox?
Ghostbox is in the 700. It's at 744. This is not going to be that high.
No, this is not as good as Ghostbox.
No,
like
no, and that had that wacky Bianchi art. This is definitely not there.
I dig the Bianchi art. Like, I do like that they went from John Cassaday to be like, let's make sure that all the other artists on this book are absolutely not John Cassaday.
Sure, I appreciate a flex. It's just it's got to work.
And it doesn't really.
Down at 986, we have Meanwhile, which is Astonishing 38, 40, and 42. I think this is worse than that.
Yeah, that's a pretty poorly done but kind of nothing story.
Mm-hmm.
This is memorably bad. At 1,000, we've got this is worse than Wolverine 98 to 100, Furnace of His Mind, Anvil of His Heart. Yes,
I would agree.
I just had to look at it and know. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Is this better or worse than X-Women? At 1028.
X-Women's an interesting thing to compare this to, given its objectification of its female characters, but I'm going to say this is worse.
I am too. I don't think that this is worse than the Peter Milligan Legion miniseries at 1044. Like, it is, there's enough more interesting things in here, and there is enough art that is competently drafted, if not great storytelling, that it's I think we got to give it a nod, because like we're getting into a chunk of the list where you've got a lot of just real trash, no redeeming quality type comics.
Yeah, I mean it's in the right place, so I think that's a good place for it. That would make it our new 1044. That is Astonishing X-Men Xenogenesis,
which does put it below Uncanny Avengers 1 through 5, which I actually feel like is right.
Yeah.
But that,
wow, what a weird thing,
folks,
to exist.
When Adam did put the picture of Emma topping Cyclops as the promo art for this, I got a giant smile on my face, because like, thank you, my buddy understands, one, what's gonna sell, and two, what I will remember most about all of these comics, and it's that image.
Let's talk about some more times that some of the X-Men got new outfits. I remember when this issue came out and being very confused by its cover. This is X-Men Volume 2, number 35. Who or What is Sunset Grace? This is written by Fabian Nicieza and penciled by Liam Sharp, inks by Robin Riggs. And this is kind of an epilogue to the adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix.
Weird epilogue, Fabes.
Very strange epilogue, where Cyclops and Jean have returned from their time as Slim and Red in the Apocalypse future, raising Cable. And they've got some new costumes. These are what turn out to be SHIELD uniforms, but boy, they look odd.
It's so weird.
How do we describe this?
There's a lot of lines on it.
Yeah.
They do look, what it looks like. It looks like the Kmart knockoff action figure X-Men.
That's fair.
It's weird because Liam Sharp can be a really good artist. We've complimented Liam Sharp's work on like the Magic miniseries before.
Yes. I actually want to talk about Liam's artwork in a little bit more depth, but I remember when this issue came out, because I remember looking at the cover and maybe like I had missed an issue or something. And I was like, why do they look like that? When did they get those costumes? they've got a completely new look because they're they're blue and gold, but with lots of little doodads on them. They have this little circle on their chests. They have lines going down their foreheads. They have cuffed boots.
Well, at one point, this was one of the wildest visuals to me. Jean shows up, and this is on multiple pages. One of her boots is straight-legged. One of them is buccaneer boot cuffed.
Yes. I would like to note that later in the issue, that cuff goes away.
Yeah, it goes up. Then very next page.
Wild, though, that she has a costume with one cuffed boot. And it's like, wait, is he consistently drawing which one has the cuff on it? And then he gives up.
The very next page, she is in a sports bra and shorty shorts. Nick
Cyclops
Fury
is still in the costume.
Nick Fury, not in his clothes. He's in walking around the jungle clothes.
Yep.
That goes on for page and one panel. And then everyone is back in their, like, these weird outfits.
It's so weird, right?
The storytelling continuity on this is challenging. And not just that, Liam Sharp is experimenting with panel layouts, really taking a splash page approach to nearly every other page, even if its splash page is in a very similar way to like a Marco Ruby would do, where it is a single image, but it is segmented and like the panels are more naturally part of the page. So he's pushing storytelling, and I think that makes it very hard when you do not have really crisp continuity in your character work to say this is where this person is, and you don't have a sense of space, which makes it very difficult to navigate these more complex pages.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. That was kind of what I wanted to dig into with Liam Sharp's work. But to do that, I do think we have to give the premise of this is that not only have they come back from the future, but in coming back, S.H.I.E.L.D. has rescued them from like floating in the surf, I guess.
Rachel, you didn't think about just knocking out your parents while they were in the middle of the ocean, right? Like that was honestly, you hecked up there. You had time travel. You could have waited until their bodies were like laying in their beds asleep.
Yeah.
You actually
easily
did not have to rush this one.
Yep. So they've returned only to find that this like portal has opened up into an alternate world of some kind. And Nick Fury is essentially asking them to go into this portal, which has been created by. It's insinuated that we should know who this character is because Cyclops and Jean say that they met her before the events of Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. This is the only issue this character has ever appeared in.
No one has ever heard of Sunset Grace again. And that's wild because this is a 90s X-Men character.
Yeah. So the two characters do go and start to explore this sort of pocket dimension that Sunset Grace has created. This is where I think the issue is actually pretty interesting. You can really tell that Liam Sharp is directly influenced by Barry Windsor Smith and some of Barry Windsor Smith's fantasy artwork. He is employing certain almost Art Deco framing devices and having characters move through spaces, like you said, on a splash page, but a character might walk through an environment in multiple areas without a frame necessarily directly being around that character. And you can really see the BWS influence in the way that he draws Sunset Grace on some of these pages. I feel like it's just a direct homage. And some of that is really interesting. But also you have these inconsistencies with the way that this extremely complicated pair of costumes is being drawn on Cyclops and Phoenix. So it doesn't make for a lot of visual consistency.
I also think part of the challenge is Bill Oakley's lettering here. Faves is throwing a lot at the reader, and as much as Sharp is doing, but I don't think that there's enough trust put that the artwork is going to get across what needs to get across, because Nicieza wants to tell a multi-layered story about like this entire woman's life and her fears and all of these things. So there's a lot of words to get in to the page. And because you have to track that, and it feels like the letterer doesn't exactly know, the lettering is not in sync with where the comic artwork wants you to move your eyes all the time.
Yes, that's a very good
And
point.
that confuses the reader. Like that is a fixable problem though. Like that's something that you just need to say, hey, no, we need to do a completely another pass on this. Because if you're going to get this complex, everyone has to be on the same page. And that's frankly one of the challenges with assembly line comics.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're not on the same page, which this one had to get out just like last month's issue and just like next month's issue. So you only got so much time, and the letterer has the least amount of time on this.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that while they're in, a lot of the dialogue that happens in this issue is between Scott and Jean psychically. So not only are you getting word bubbles, but the word bubbles have the little telepathic hashtag things that are, indicating that they're psychic. And then we're switching into narration blocks, and then we're switching into regular dialogue bubbles. So
and so much of the narration is just pure exposition.
Yes.
Like,
yes, but I do want to compliment Sharp, because there is at least 4 or 5 of these pages that I think are legitimately beautiful. There is essentially what the reason that this character Sunset has the ability to create this pocket dimension since she's very young. And the reason that she is returning to it is because she is mourning the loss of her husband and child who died in a car accident. And she is constantly looking in this pocket dimension for them because she opened it in the midst of the accident and thinks they're still alive there, which they're not. But she needs to come to that realization and kind of accept it in some way so that, the portal can seal up. But
and thematically, I get that coming right out of Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix.
Mhm.
That is Scott getting a redo on having to give up his son.
Yes.
And then giving him up again, coming back. So I get it. I don't think enough of a resonance is made between those two things,
It's tough because you're getting the entire life backstory of this character in one issue, but it's not really happening until you get to like the last 3 or 4 pages. And then it immediately has to resolve, so much so that the final page of this issue is like 1/3 of the story, and the other 2/3 is devoted to kind of like a pseudo pinup preview of Phalanx Covenant. And it's like, coming next month, Phalanx Covenant. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess we're not.
It does kind of feel like Liam Sharp may have gotten to a point and been like, ah, crap, I'm running out of time. And I've already committed to this exact style for everything. So I still have to put a lot of effort into the pages.
Yeah.
But like, we gotta find some way to compress this.
Yeah. But my kudos to, there is one page in particular with Sunset as a teenager, and there's a bird on her hand, and you're kind of seeing her life pass as she's developing the relationship with her husband and getting older. I mean, it has notes of Alan Davis and Paul Neary in it. It's a beautiful piece of artwork.
Can I tell you what I really notice about that page compared to everything else around it?
Yeah.
There is a lot less cross-hatching and a lot less
Yes.
detailing that is in that. It very much is Sharp, like, not doing that because it's a flashback and he's trying to get that through in the art. But it also really shines. It's like, actually, in 1994, 1995, less can be more. Like, you can actually pull back. And it feels like the rubber band's starting to snap back a little bit from your Jim Lees and your Rob Liefelds.
Yeah. But of course, there's other pages in this comic that are just like, like Cyclops blasting into space, and so many lines, so many hash marks.
That rubber band, it is pulsing back and forth.
Yes.
It is slowly coming back, but it's not all the way there.
Yeah. So I think there's reason enough to check this issue out. Would I say that it's good? No, I don't think so.
I would call it bad, actually. But
I would call it visually interesting. The costumes are weird and not not working, but there's enough here to make you go, huh? That I would at least recommend looking at this issue as opposed to the last one, which I would say avoid completely. Gosh, where should this go?
At 800 on the list is All New X-Men Paris. So it's when they go and Fred Dukes punches Laura a bunch.
Oh yeah.
Actually, 802, you just highlighted it. Thank you, Weapon X Force is right there. That's where Omega Red gets a tiger. This is obviously not as good as that. Thank you, Adam.
No, it's not. Is it okay? Here's something to compare it to. Is this better at 901? Is Child's Play X Force New Warriors? I kind of think this might be better than that.
This is better than Child's Play.
Yeah. So, all right, we're at least in the 800s. I don't know how high I would go.
849 is the New Mutants Follow the Mutants.
Okay.
Which isn't good.
No.
But I think we're in that right spot. Because I'll say this, Adam.
Yeah.
855, Wildcats X-Men.
About the same.
We're in that same boat.
Yeah.
Wildcats X-Men is more novel.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is actually better than Wildcats X-Men.
Okay. Is it better or worse? I think it's better than IVX at 851.
Then we'll put it between that and Classic X-Men 43.
Great. Okay, so this is our new 851 X-Men Volume 2, number 35, Sunset Grace. And we're going to go back to the Silver Age for another time that X-Men got new costumes. What? Though we're going to have to wait a little bit to get to that point.
Delayed gratification, folks.
Yes, we are talking about Factor 3.
We all know about Factor 3. How many members are in Factor 3, Adam? Quick, quick. Just tell me, how many people are in Factor 3? How many people?
8?
It's greater than. Yeah, it's 8. It's 8. There's 8 people in Factor 3.
Well, that's a trick question. That's a very trick question.
Not all of them willingly. You got Unis the Untouchable. You got the Vanisher. You got Mastermind. You got Blob.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Banshee unwillingly. You got Kevin Sidney. You know about Kevin Sidney, the Changeling.
Kevin Sidney, the Changeling. Yep, he's Factor 2, right?
Yes.
Isn't that the idea? Is that like the minions are Factor 1, then Changeling is Factor 2, and then like it's the levels.
I think
isn't that what it is?
I think that's what they're trying to do. But why is the Mutant Master not? Why in this thing where there's really only? Why are there 2 really important people that feel like they are explicitly Factor 3, and then a bunch of other people that feel like they're just around? Like, because the Mutant Master and Changeling feel like they are on a different team, where everyone else does feel like they're just Brotherhood of Evil Mutants guys.
Well, here's why.
Not Bannister, really, but still.
I think Roy Thomas really wanted to tell something that was like a big, all-encompassing story that tied all these other little individual stories together, and this is what he came up with. And it's bad.
It's Roy Thomas, and it is a bunch of artists. It's Don Heck and Ross Andrew.
Yes. We are going to specifically rank 37 to 39, though.
There's a couple other comics that lead into Factor 3.
Yes. I just wanted to note, even though we are not ranking it, that the issue before this, X-Men 36, is hilarious.
That's the Spider-Man one, right?
No, that's 35. 36
35. Yes.
is the issue where they know that Professor X is being held hostage by Factor 3, and they spend literally the entire issue trying to get jobs to make money to go get him. That's an issue of X-Men in the Silver Age. Like, when people wonder why this book was doing poorly, like, that is why,
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, 37, they've got their plane tickets. They're gonna fly to this unspecified place in Europe to go rescue Professor Xavier. And of course, Factor 3 is tracking them. So the plane, turbulence, and the X-Men have to jump out of the plane.
X-Men have to jump out of the plane. They quickly get captured by Factor 3.
Yeah.
Factor 3 has their spider robots from that Spider-Man issue that we talked about previously. Did we? No, we just mentioned it offhand. We've never actually talked about that issue with 5.
No, but they're arachnoid robots, and then they have to fight the Blob, the Vanisher. They have to fight henchmen. They got all this. They got they got to get up to the boss level.
All of the Silver Age like Jack Kirby villains do a explanation of what happened on the last time that they the first time that they met the X-Men and why they're mad at the X-Men, including Unis and his cake.
Oh, the cake is great. The cake comes back.
Ross Andrew drawing the cake is very good. Essentially, Factor 3 is run by a guy named the Mutant Master. The Mutant Master says that actually the X-Men are race traders. And you are all, this is why you're race traders, because you were mean to my friends Blob and Mastermind. And
they work with humans. They want coexistence, not domination, right?
This is almost kind of one of the most interesting things to throw into this, because yes, Magneto and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants were on the other side, and there was talk about good mutants versus bad mutants, but this is a level of taking the metaphor and making it other things, because we're in 1967. It's hard not to read that and read it in a more radical civil rights era way. At least as an influence that is touching it, even if it's not explicitly oh, the X-Men are a minority metaphor, which they really weren't at this time, or not in any legitimate way.
No, and it's really just an excuse, because the Mutant Master, his grand plan is to drop a hydrogen bomb.
It's nukes. It's
going to drop a nuke. It's going to get blamed on, it's basically going to start World War III and destroy all of humanity. Mutants are going to survive with a little bit of a tinge of apocalypse here, right? Because it's the strongest, the mutants who can survive the nuclear holocaust and create a new world, they'll be the ones to rule. And it's oh, okay, but do we really want to live in nuclear winter? I don't know. Of course, the most bonkers conclusion to this when it turns out that
you're skipping the entire part. Hold on.
Hold on. Is there much to the middle of this?
Well, the fact that half of the X-Men have to invade Soviet Russia and the other half of the X-Men have to invade the United States to ignite the Cold War. Yeah, I do think that's very funny. It's very funny, actually.
The problem is it's very samey. Even though it's only 3 issues, it's so repetitious. It's the X-Men have to fight this, they have to fight that, they have to fight this, and there's nothing visually interesting happening here whatsoever.
Yeah, there's not. Which gets us to the real reveal about the Mutant Master after the X-Men have stopped his evil plot.
Yes.
Would you believe that the Mutant Master is not a mutant?
He's not. What is he, Zach?
Octopus Man.
He's just a giant freaking octopus, giant green octopus. I had forgotten about this, and when I
was sitting there why hasn't anyone brought back the Mutant Master? Right? It feels like just Silver Age and that name, someone would have picked. I was and then I got to the end, I was right, because he's really an octopus, and that's boring.
They do kill him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He dies.
His costume, his costume makes him look like a human, but then Banshee destroys his costume, and all of a sudden he's this gigantic tentacle guy. And
just to be clear, it's the X-Men are oh no, this place is going to blow up, and he's I'd rather die than go with you.
Yeah, he kills himself. He
does a suicide. It's insane.
That's the best part of it.
When you're not see, this is something, and this is why Watchmen is arguably the greatest comic in the world. It's that when you're not expecting it and you're expecting nuclear winter, there is nothing funnier than a Squid Man. There is nothing, spoilers for Watchmen, I guess, but there's nothing funnier when you're in a deep Cold War drama and it's boom, octopus.
Giant octopus. Well, they do free Professor X.
That's why Zack Snyder's a coward, by the way, because he should have used the giant octopus.
Sure. One of many issues with that movie.
I walked out of that movie, legitimately. Like
Terrible.
I was in high school. That was it was not cheap for me to attend the movies. And I was like, I don't. Actually, my then girlfriend wanted to leave because it was a 3-hour freaking movie and we had plans.
She
in
made the
morning
right
and it was
decision
late.
for both of you.
It was because it was right as we were so close to the end. It was right as they were flying to Antarctica.
Oh.
So all along the watchtower, it was pretty much. I actually think here's what it was. It was when they had sex in Archie to Hallelujah that we were like, this is bad, right?
Yeah, it is.
And that is funny, but it's not played as funny. Like, oh man, that movie has so many. That movie's got so many interesting problems.
Yeah, you might say that Zack Snyder is bad at making movies. Now, I would also argue that what are you about to defend Zack Snyder?
I didn't say that.
Zack Snyder are you a Snyder bro?
I'm not a Snyder bro.
Zach, calm.
I
think before you continue speaking here.
Hold on.
Has the man made a good movie? No. Don't. You can't.
I was a teenager when 300 came out. I've not revisited it since. I understand, but you have to, you were an adult man when 300 came out. Did everyone around you also want to get super jacked?
I don't know.
Everyone
I just remember it being based on a
like
very bad Frank Miller comic book and being like, what the hell is this?
Look, okay, I've not gone back and revisit. All I'm saying, I think Zack Snyder is infinitely more interesting than just about any other bad director out there and some of the good directors. He's more interesting than. Not good, not great at making films, but I could sit down and dissect a Zack Snyder movie for hours on end.
Wow. That is giving him a lot of credit.
Oh, you don't think Zack Snyder is making deeply intentional choices with everything he does? He just has the most insane instinct. He
is making the same dumb choices over and over again. They're not interesting choices.
Oh, I'm interested, but I'm interested how you can think this time it will be different. I also think Sucker Punch had a killer soundtrack. And there's some interesting ideas. Movie. Oh, deeply. But it's because it doesn't lean deep enough into the Faster Pussycat Kill of it all. Like if they went full sexploitation film with it, it would be better. But they want 13-year-olds to be able to buy tickets without asking their mom.
Jeez, I can't believe this is happening right now. This is making me so sad.
There's a cover of Search and Destroy by Skunk Elise on that soundtrack that freaking rips, buddy.
That's cool. That can be a good song in a bad movie.
Yeah, but then the movie puts it when they
bad movie.
They're Adam, Zach, hold on. Stop. They're in Apache helicopters while that goes off, shooting at orcs around a castle. It sucks. Great.
No, it's terrible. Okay, I'm right.
You're right, but have some joy in your life. Factor 3.
I can find joy in my life that doesn't involve Zack Snyder. It's called The Rest of the World. It's great. So let's talk about the new costumes because that is our theme this week. So after successfully, rescuing Professor Xavier, they celebrate by making Jean make new costumes.
Yeah. Well, look, she is the girl.
Yeah. These are spoiled on the cover. So if you look at the cover of X-Men 39, they are wearing these duds. Angel remarks...
Duds? Hold on. I think they've got... Really, Iceman's not really wearing a new costume, but I think they kind of hit 500 on this. They go 50-50 are good.
Oh, I'm not saying
duds as in clothes, not duds as in a bad design. Okay.
Yeah, just a new look.
That was a language issue right there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I do think it's funny though. Like Angel is like, I look more angelic. Wait, no, I don't. I'm wearing suspenders. And Beast is kind of angry about the sleeve situation. Like, it's just funny because like they get these new costumes and they're not really excited about them, but they're there. So
the Angel saying, "It looks fine, I guess."
Yeah, that's pretty
good.
Much it.
That's so.
It's very funny.
It's their late 60s costumes. You know what you know what Scots and jeans look like. Iceman looks like Iceman. Angel's wearing the suspenders, insane. Beast is wearing a blue and red version
Yep.
of training costume. Beast doesn't look good until he becomes a blue man. Like, we know this.
Yeah, I mean, some of these
We're
looks
not
stick
going to
with
get
them
into
for a
dress, of
while.
course, but for 1967, I think the general feel is like, yeah, that's a good costume for Marvel Girl, the character from 1967.
I think in general, this is a nice redesign of the characters. It comes on very strangely at the end of this very weird arc, and it is what it is.
What else is weird is that they have backups through this about everyone's secret history and secret origin. Those start here, including the Professor X and Cyclops one.
Yeah.
Can I tell you one thing that only I would notice, but I really loved about that?
Oh, what's that?
Specifically in 38 on the Professor X one.
Yeah.
There is, Professor X is already in his wheelchair. He's talking about how he's going to start like helping mutants and all this stuff. And they see, or he walks by a construction site where they are doing a crane lift of an air conditioning system.
Mm.
And this is a commercial air conditioning system. It's getting lifted up there. And Cyclops has to use his powers to stop it. And I love that because in Jay Edidin and Tom Riley's Marvel's Spotlight Cyclops, they recreate that page.
Oh, yeah.
And I have that page right over here. So I looked, I was like, wait, son of a gun, really? Because they got the air conditioner in it. Now, here's what I'll say. And I love Tom Riley. Don Heck drew a more accurately sized air conditioner for Manhattan. Like, he draws a commercial unit. Tom Riley draws a residential unit. And that bugs me, but I can't expect more than that. And there's plenty of reasons why you could be crane lifting a resi unit onto a sky rise or onto a rooftop. People would do that, but generally you'd use a more commercial air conditioner for a multifamily or a mixed use building like that. Perhaps a weather maker, or if you're getting into like larger sizes, maybe an IntelliPack. There's a lot of things you could do.
I can see why that resonates with you. Yeah.
Think about this, Bud. We were talking off mic. I literally just signed some new people to sell stuff in New York City, and I have to travel there a bunch and think about New York City air conditioning like a lot the last 3 months. Commercial, don't be talking to me. Don't be like shooting me DMs about the window shaker you're putting into your apartment. That's trash garbage, and I don't respect window shakers. That's not on you.
Was there another thing that stood out to you in the backups?
No, that was it. It was just
that was the one.
All right,
well, let's
I've
read
the Cyclops one a bunch. I didn't like deeply go through the Cyclops one. Yeah. I hadn't read the Professor X one like since I did my first run of the X-Men. Factor 3 is bad.
It is bad. Is it as I don't know if it's as bad as the first appearance of Banshee, which is down at 1104.
The first Banshee is not 1104. Yeah, this is better than 1104. But like above that is the Warlock Wakes. Roy Thomas X-Men, pretty bad.
Yeah, and right above that at 1100 is the Silver Age Count Nefarious story, which is X-Men 22 to 23.
I think for scale and scope, this one is higher.
I would agree. I just don't think that it's going to go that much higher.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I'm looking at this and like X-Men Gold 1 through 3 by Mark Guggenheim is a better comic book than this. That's at 1086.
Yeah, the highest thing we have down here for Silver Age X-Men is a 1074, which is the first time that the X-Men fought the Avengers, and I do think that's better than this.
Yeah, that's better than this. That's absolutely better than this. Gold is better than this.
It's better than the animation special at 1089.
Is it better than the weird X-Men First Class tie-in comic? X-Men First Class : the movie.
The High Hand.
Yeah, that,
I think it's better than
you've got to remember that one.
I also think it's better than the interpretation of the interpretation, which is X-Men Adventures Dark Phoenix Saga at 1087. I think this is better than that.
You know what we really need to do?
What's that?
Oh no, they didn't do that. Well, we need to do the interpretation of the interpretation of the interpretation of the X-Men mangas Days of Future Past, because that's taking this interpretation and then translating it and then translating it back. Wild. No, 1087 is Factor 3.
All right. we got some new looks here and 3 new stories. Nicely done.
Oddly enough, 2 of these looks actually will be timeless looks.
Yeah.
One of these is arguably the second best costume that Jean's ever had. The only reason she doesn't wear her best costume all the time is because it carries some plot baggage. Are you about to tell me that you don't think the Phoenix costume is her best costume?
No, Phoenix costume's great.
Oh, okay. I thought you were pausing and like arguing.
I thought you were
like,
complimenting the green dress.
No, I think the green dress is the second best costume. It's not the Jim Lee one.
No.
Maybe X Factor, but I think the X Factor one is too generic.
I'm going to go Quietly.
Yeah. Quietly one's good. It's just you can't just do an individual Quietly costume. That's the problem. You can't do that. You could actually. No one's stopping you. But
don't know why you couldn't. Looks great.
Yeah. I think that yeah, man.
Got you. All right.
You
now,
got me. The dresses. I like
if someone wanted to make their own request for the show, Zach, what do they do again?
Oh, patreon.com/Battle of the Atom. Reach deep down into your hearts and pocketbooks and pay for our Stetson hats and bad Zack Snyder opinions, apparently.
No, mine are good.
Yours are good.
I have
mine
great
are
Zack Snyder opinions.
Mine are challenging.
They're defensive of your youth, I think, is what's happening.
It's not even my youth. I actually hate his Batman v Superman. I want to be clear. I thought that movie was absolute trash garbage, and I got so mad that I watched it. And I know 300 has a lot of issues. You don't have to tell me. I remember. But also, that is a movie where a guy kicks a guy into a hole and yells, "This is Sparta." And Bud, if I didn't say "This is Sparta" a lot in 11th grade.
Yeah, it does have Jerry Butler in it. So we'll give it.
It's got Michael Fassbender and his head gets cut off. And here's my favorite thing about 300 is that I want them to do a sequel to 300, but it is literally just the Book of Esther, like from Bible or Torah, I guess. I don't know exactly how the Jewish faith categorizes the Book of Esther.
Well, unfortunately for you, there is a sequel to 300 that Frank Miller already drew.
That's a prequel.
But I'm just saying, there's another book. So
no, see what I want
to do that before they got to whatever you're concocting.
I'm not concocting anything. I want Xerxes to come back celebrating his victory over the Greeks and then have his then queen spurn him and not come out. And then him saying, fine, I'm going to do a beauty contest for my entire land and find the hottest person. And then Esther be's like, I'm here in secret. Am I the only one that knows about Esther?
I'm just saying that no one's going to call Zack Snyder for this. So
this
is dead on arrival.
Do you not want to see Purim by Zack Snyder? Because that just, how insane would that be? There's a lot of movies that I want to see Zack Snyder's version of it because I can't imagine it.
Oh, Zach, come on. You are smart enough to imagine what a Zack Snyder movie would look like of anything.
What does Zack Snyder's One Battle After Another look like?
Very bad. Very bad. Hey, do you want to know what Zack Snyder's Star Wars looks like? Just look at his last 2 Netflix movies.
No, but I don't hate myself.
Oh, great. Okay. Moving on from Zack Snyder. If folks want to check out 2 different takes on the new issue of X-Men United #1, you can see me trash it and you can see Stephanie Burt defend it over on Comics XF. So check that out. And Zach, what do we got going on next week?
I can't believe you didn't ask me if I had anything I wanted to plug.
You told me not to. I'm not supposed to do that anymore.
Exactly. No one's supposed to know I exist. Thank you, Adam. I just think that people need to be reminded every once in a while that I am much like the mist. I just float away. I live in your ears, and frankly, I get opinions about things that are getting woefully indefensible. I'm
being real hard on you today. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I've been teeing up some wild takes the last little bit. This is what you get for the bad boy, folks. This is what you get for the bad boy. Next week, we're talking about Gail Simone comics that aren't Uncanny X-Men. It'll be interesting. I've read only one of these in the past, and one of these has been on my, I need to get around to that list. So I'm kind of like, I'm kind of tentatively like, let's go on these.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff coming. Watch out.
But until then, folks, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!